Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Art and Tech and NFT webinar series by Vhils. We are broadcasting online, and every week we are bringing you the most interesting, promising startups, the most interesting people, mind breakers, investors from this sphere. And today we also have one of the future unicorns of the art and tech scene. First, I should say that the yesterday the one of the top events of the art tech ecosystem has finished, the Christie's Art and Tech Summit, and we here at Vhils will put together all the key findings which we noted from that conference. We visited it, and so we're welcoming everyone to subscribe to our newsletters. Next newsletter, next Wednesday, we'll put down some key findings from that really amazing events with plenty of new information and new contacts. So I'd like to start our today's webinar before I present you today's guest with some numbers. You know, in recent Hiscox online art trade report by Art Tactic, from that report we found out that 41% of the NFT art buyers started preferring curated marketplaces. It's really amazing numbers compared to only 27% of adherents interested in the flea market of NFT platforms. So we are entering the new era of curatorship regarding NFTs. And another numbers from the Hiscox report is that 41% of the art purchased online in 2021 was digital art, compared with 17% in 2020. So even based on those two numbers, we understand that the collectors of physical art are getting more used to buy digital art, and then they start preferring and evaluating curated marketplaces and curatorial approach towards NFTs more and more. So today we are happy to showcase the startup called Artpool. When I first heard about it and saw the website, I couldn't realize, am I looking at the social network or a marketplace? And then I realized that you can hardly determine what Instagram, for instance, is at the moment. So it was started as the social network, but it has more and more, let's say, features of a marketplace nowadays, especially marketplace for talents. So I'm happy to welcome the founder of Artpool, Pauline Foessel, the curator and entrepreneur behind Artpool, and she has an extensive background, previously working as a director in art institutions, galleries, studios globally. So, for instance, Pauline worked as a co-director at Underdogs Gallery and Alexandre Farto's Vhils studio in Lisbon. She was responsible for promoting a generation of urban artists. So, hello, Pauline.
Hi. Thank you, Dennis and Daria, for the invitation.
Sure.
Very happy to be with you today.
Thank you for accepting our invitation and your desire to showcase your startup and to share your, let's say, success, but also gaps and hazards of your startuppers path. So, and today with me, as the previous week, Daria Rjavtseva, the business development manager of Vhils Arts, responsible for our startups funnel. So, hi, Daria.
Hello.
Cool. So, yeah, we called our webinar like the academic future of NFTs. So we'll speak about the curatorial approach towards NFTs mostly. And but my first question towards you, Pauline, would be, your longstanding background in the art market, which of course helped you to launch Artpool, but your practice combines curatorship, gallery business, and personal entrepreneurship. So what influenced you to transit from manager's work to your own startup?
Yeah, that's a broad question, but I think like everything is very twin and linked. And maybe I'll go back a little bit from, let's say, the start, and that you understand how this whole unfolds. But I started my whole career in Shanghai. I was always in the arts. However, I did a business school, and I mastered in entrepreneurship actually. And started in Shanghai. I was 21, just arrived there, and I was really opening up a project. So all my endeavors, like even if I was working for people, it was always at the beginning of the projects. And it was a French gallerist who wanted to come and settle in Shanghai. So I went there. It was 2010, 2009. And I did 2 years and a half in the gallery in Shanghai. So it was extremely interesting because we worked locally with Chinese artists, but we were working with international artists also coming to China. And well, it's all the more commercial side of it, but as well, like, having and building that relationship with the artists because they would come in residencies and so on. And then I met the artist you were naming, Alexandre, who is a Portuguese artist known as well as Vhils. And he proposed me to, move to Portugal and come and direct his studio. So I decided that it was interesting to change the point of view, and think from gallery to the artist studio. And same, we settled the studio in Lisbon and really started to structure it. And together with Vhils, we also launched the project you were naming, Underdogs, which is a gallery public art program with the city of Lisbon and art editions. Here, what was very interesting, and it's still very interesting, is the reach to very different audience, but at the same time very consistent. So public art, you talk to anyone walking in the streets. At the gallery, you talk to collectors, and for editions, you talk to maybe younger collectors or people who have, maybe less money to put into art, but still very interested to collect. And I started a studio, but I always kept Underdogs actually until today. I'm not executive, but I'm still curating and directing more in terms of strategy. But then I moved back to Asia. I went to Hong Kong, and there I was the director of development of a private art institution that was also just being launched. And there I did everything related to fundraising. So, looking for all the type of ideas you can find in the physical world to raise money to finance the arts, and it was extremely complicated but extremely interesting. And after almost 3 years of back and forth between Hong Kong and Portugal, I had the idea of Artpool. It was the beginning of it, but like it was finally starting to be clearer. I always wanted to, have my own startup. I was always very interested about what was happening digitally in the art world. And I felt like a gap, basically. I felt a gap in my experience with the institution because I wish I could have connected better. I wished I could have found better ways of making money online for the foundation, for the art, for the programming. And so I just thought, for me, curators are extremely important not so well represented online. It's still a position that we use a lot the word curator, but in the end, really the art curators, it's difficult to find them, and they are the one creating the link between the people and the artists. So for me, it was very important that to start with a social network, where we would focus on curators. I am a curator myself, but I've been doing it mainly with Underdogs and with some shows in Asia. But I decided, like, okay, let's focus on the curators. I curate less today, and started the social network of Artpool. Basically, that's the past, but you see like the intrication of everything. And for me, bottom line, it's about the curators, but it's about finding the solution to create a new revenue stream digitally for the artistry, the curators, and the artists.
Thank you. I mean, your background is brilliant. Yeah, before Daria asks you her next question, so a small sub question from my side, please. So from what I've learned, from what you just said, I realized that you've entered the most of your, let's say, the projects you've been involved in right from the start, not in the middle. So can I say that you haven't been scared launching your own startup as soon as the most of the projects you were involved in, you knew how it started. So you knew the background, you knew the basis, and that inspired you, and that gave you additional courage. I mean, based on knowledge, how to set up something.
Yeah, completely. I think like it's something. Then it's slightly different when you do it yourself and alone in a way. Even if after I got a team and so on, but it's it's I always knew it, but I also knew that I needed to, gain so much knowledge and expertise. And that's why I waited. And I waited. At one point, I was like, you want to do it, but you'd never have an idea. Like that, those people that, I mean, we all get through this where you're like, yeah, you want to be an entrepreneur, but in the end, you never jumped the thing. But I think like I really needed to have a 360 degrees on the art world, and I needed to see the artist studio, I needed to see the gallery, I needed to see the auction house, because with the foundation, I did work with auction houses. I wanted to see like all these angles. And at one point I was like, I think I have a good understanding of all these unspoken rules, and all the link between all the key players, because all of this is very important. Like, I think you need to know very well the markets in which you want to go for, like, and I think like I've learned a lot to start with the others. I'm not gonna say I wasn't really, scared at first, but I also knew like, this is what I want to do, because all these projects I was there, but I was there 2.5 years and 3 years. One of my fear was like, maybe I'm just done for the beginning of project, because but actually it's not that, because I think now Artpool, it's like 4 years and I'm still like believing in it as much as I used to at the beginning. But it's very interesting, the beginning, but then you need to keep going. The truth is, Underdogs, it has been 10 years and I'm still there. I still, of course, my role has evolved and so on, but it's 10 years with Vhils, like really still carrying the project, at least strategically and in terms of curation today.
Thank you. My question will be about the Artpool. You position Artpool as the first curator-driven platform, and how does it differ from other marketplaces that use curatorial approach?
So I think we are very different, and I'm going to use a Web3 word, which is decentralization. That I love. I love that word, but I do believe very much in it, and I think we are really a curator network, because we are not doing the curation ourselves, at least 98% of the project, it's not Artpool doing the curation. Sometimes it's me personally because I work with the artist and I want to, work with the artist. But most of the time, it's our curator network. So that's the social network I talked to you about at the beginning. We built it for the past 3 years and a half. We are having almost 1,000 curators on the platform from, more than 75 countries in the world. So you can imagine the amounts of artworks, artists, movements, expertise, localities you can have, And in that sense, that's very different from, saying like, and in addition, we are talking about professional curators. We passed 3 years and a half on calls with those people. We know them. We have met them at least once. We have passed like between 40 minutes and an hour and a half. We were 4 people doing this. Sometimes I had 15, 20 meetings with curators per week. And they were selected for being professional curators on their day-to-day, job. So we had very objective criteria to bring them in. We had also a lot of peer-to-peer recommendations. And we had people applying, and we would be, asking for curatorial text, asking for CVs, asking for curatorial studies or residencies. So basically, I think like that's the very big difference. You have a very strong network of people who are professional curators working in galleries, working in museums, nonprofits, art centers, art residencies from everywhere, and mostly NFT platforms. And you have some that are doing a great curatorial job. It's not saying that it's not being curated. I think some other platforms are being curated, but I think we are extremely unique in the proposition we have, thanks to the network. And this is only thanks to time, doing what we've done. It's long and it takes time and trust, because you build trust through times, and I think that goes very well with the art. Art needs time,
Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. Let me quote an abstract from your white paper. So you position yourself, Artpool, as a growing network of over 900 vetted curators and art venues, as a digital space where curators, artists, and organizations come to connect and exhibit and fundraise, and at the same time, collectors find the finest NFT artworks. So let's just simplify that. During our batches, we always encourage our startups to put that simple, like describe a simple user case of your platforms. In other words, Pauline, could you please tell us how do curators, institutions, artists, and collectors can use Artpool?
Of course. So basically, how does it work? I'm going to say the 3, let's say, target, right? The curators, the artists, and the art lovers / collectors. So for curator, you come on Artpool, you are seeing that your peers are there, that you have this incredible network, that you can create your own portfolio, you have your login, so you apply. We review your application, we do a call with you. You are professional art curators working with venues and so on. So you get your login, you can start like posting. It's like a LinkedIn, right? Like you can research and post and so on. And then you are interested by doing an NFT project. So you contact us at the moment. That's still how it is. And we help you, building the project. So you're telling me, well, I have an exhibition in 2 months and I would love to launch a range of NFTs for that specific exhibition that's going to happen in this venue. So basically, you have already the whole curatorial concept of the show. The list of the artists is there. So you talk to the artist. We give you tools to explain to the artists, because most of the artists never did NFTs yet, you know. So then you onboard the artist, you get the images, the curators, was it's amazing, they can create wonderful content around the work. So they write the whole curatorial text, they write small text as well about each work. The artists get login as well created because they were selected by a curator, and then we launch the project. Then for the art lovers, collectors, you come on the platform, you can check the marketplace with all the artworks, or you can select by project and understand the purpose, understand the curatorial concept, check each NFT. You can decide if you are an NFT collector already and you already have a MetaMask, you can plug in with your MetaMask. If you are not, we have another solution where you can put your email, pay by credit card, and it opens you up directly a wallet from Crossmint. And at the end of the purchase, you can decide if you want to print as well, because for us it's important to engage more and more non-crypto holders. A lot of people who love the artists, who love the curators or the venues they visit, they don't necessarily yet have crypto. So we propose them something tangible. So an easy payment, but also having something out of the NFT that they can put at home, you know, and live with.
Thank you, Pauline. My next question will be about market niche. How did you find it for Artpool? And had it been from your previous experience as a curator, or you made market research, how it was?
Yeah, it was mainly from my previous experience, I would say. You know, I've worked with curators. I am a curator as well. I was extremely, I mean, one of the first thing was we are all on Instagram, but Instagram doesn't fit the work we do. The work we do is also about words. It's not only about images, it's about content, like serious content. And it's not that easy to find curatorial text online. Most the text that you find are press releases, and you always have like a tiny little paragraph about the curator text, but you never really find it. And that was one of my very first feeling. I was feeling a little bit frustrated by the social network that were out there. And I also wanted to end up by having a network where you can see artists without having like a crazy algorithm, where you can still discover and here by growing the community of curators, you would grow a community of artists, and you would get access to new work from very different places. So it definitely came from my experience, but you know, the more you advance through time, the more you build your network, the more feedback you get. That on the curator network, I have to be honest, like it was so positive. Like we were having calls and people were like, yeah, well, how can I do to create a login? It was really like we could feel that we were fitting really to the target. Then after, imagine you pass from a curator network where it's, you know, it's a place where they can, it's almost a mini website for them. They can connect with one another. They can discover each one's work. But then you bring the word NFTs. So here it was like, I mean, I looked at it first. I was skeptical. Then I really looked into it, and I was like, this is brilliant. You know, like this is so good that we need to find a way to present this in a very smart way. And then what I did is I found a good way that would convince me as a curator. And then, yes, we went to them. We did interviews explaining just the idea before developing anything. And we told them, would you use that? How would you use it? And we had, I would say, 85% of the curators who were like, I would use it. I would say already 30% where I'm already having an idea. So we were like, okay, that's the way we are thinking this tool is interesting for the community we've built. It's not just interesting for me, right? So, and then we started developing it and looking into, you know, like really the tech side of it and so on.
Thank you, Pauline. I would suggest to shift a bit from, let's say, curatorial issues and marketing issues to financial issues and, let's say, investment relations. So could you please tell us more about your relations with investors especially as soon as Artpool is based in Lisbon area. And yeah, we always ask the founders regarding their, let's say, country of incorporation and country of residence, their permanent residence, because that means a lot. I mean, the investment climates in different geographical spots, they differ from each other. And as well as we know, Lisbon becomes one of the meccas, one of the, let's say, key points of investment activity regarding digital art in NFT in Europe. Let's say non-fungible conference is regularly held in Lisbon, and a lot of startups are moving in Lisbon because of the let's say moderate investment climate there. Especially a lot of Ukrainian startups and hedge funds are now escaping from the war. They are being settled in Lisbon. So let's say two questions in one. How do you find Lisbon in terms of, let's say, incorporation and networking, but with regards to investment? And what, let's say, is your current fundraising status?
Yes. So I will go for Lisbon first. Well, surprisingly enough, I went to Lisbon for very different reasons, which are not startup and which were not crypto. I just love Lisbon. Personally, this is the place I'm the happiest, and I did Shanghai, Hong Kong, Montreal. I did a lot of very different and big cities, and I went to look for something personally. I knew launching a startup wouldn't be an easy endeavor, and I wanted a city that would allow me to do it. Personally, for my mental health, like, this is very important to go out in a city where it's calm, and that that there is the ocean, and it's very, very personal on that side. Then, of course, it's also the living there. It's when you launch a startup, you have like crazy amount of funds at the beginning, so it's a good city to be happy, and with less money as well than in Hong Kong that I was coming from. But yes, it's true that it was kind of incredible that the moment I came back, like, Web Summit was there for like maybe 1 or 2 years, I think, in settled. Then, like, for now a year and a half, you started to have many people in the crypto space coming to Lisbon for obvious reason. But it's true that all of a sudden it creates like a really positive scene, right? Like, people are willing to do things. We are having a lot of meetups. And it's amazing as well, because you have a lot of investors coming, even if they are not settling in Lisbon, they're visiting Lisbon now, one of them on the map, which is great for meetings and so on. So that's about Lisbon, and I think it's a perfect mix at the moment, specifically for a startup that is in crypto, to meet people. Then after, for the more legal aspect, it's still a country that is a little bit in the gray area, which sometimes is not the best. It can sound good on the outside, but if you are building on the long term, is not so secured. And we were several times advised to potentially go elsewhere the moment we are going to be launching our token, to be in a jurisdiction where it's already regulated and there is rules and so on. I don't want to go elsewhere personally, but I think we have to be doing what's reasonable. So let's see how the country evolve as well on that side. I know they're working on it. I know, of course, view the amount of people coming to the country, they have to ask themselves these questions. So let's see. And in terms of investors, look, I started raising money in the summer 2019. So it's been 3 years. And it's very first business angels. So people I knew I worked with that, really believed, I would say, mainly in me at first, and then on the idea afterward. then came in Indico Capital Partner, which is a venture capital from Lisbon, and we were accelerated during 6 months with them. And then we entered the Basecamp of Outlier Venture, who also invested in us. And now since like March, we got one business angel, one company, and one group of LPs we invested. And basically we decided to close, and it's not so much about us, but it's about the market condition. We were starting the round and so on, but honestly, I needed to refocus on the product, on the project itself, to show more traction, review, like what I was telling you about the printing and the art edition. It's also using NFT as a tool and not just like put NFTs all over, and targeting more the art lovers and bringing more non-crypto holders, like I was telling you. So we decided to refocus really on the product, on partnership with other platforms, on bringing more projects of the curators on the platform, because we have so many in the pipeline that are waiting. And so the right now we put a little bit on pause the round, to be very honest with you, and that's not the best moment in terms of market and in terms of moment like summer as well. So yeah.
Thank you for being honest with us, as long as with our audience, international one. I believe a lot of investors are now watching our broadcast. So I will just tell you my observation from, not only from my experience. Let's say yesterday at Christie's Art and Tech Summit, there was a specialized panel on investment in art tech, and there were representatives of Microsoft Ventures, Samsung Ventures, OpenSea Ventures. So they all came to one agreement that, let's say, the top three factors they are considering while investing in this or that startups. They start with founders. So they firstly they invest in founders. Then they invest in the vision of those founders, and only then in the sustainability. So like an investment rule, the most it's more important with whom you're not afraid to lose money than with whom you want to increase your personal or corporate capital. So it always starts with the personalities of the founders, starting from their psychological features, their, let's say, and then their vision, and only then their the sustainability of their business model. So you're on the right way.
I wanted to say something, because like I probably talked with more than 100 VCs and investors, and I've learned that I never did this. I was fundraising for the arts and whatever. It's still fundraising, right? And I've learned this by entering Indico Capital Partner, and then for a year that was like talking to investors regularly, giving news and so on. And I think like one thing, and I think I can say it here because that's exactly what you are talking about. For me, it has been very difficult because I think many people do not understand the arts industry and the art market. And usually you pitch for 10 minutes, you have a 30-minute call, and it's a very complex market. Whatever we say, it's complex. And on top of it, we had crypto. So for crypto investors, they do understand maybe better. But for the art side, I'm trying to be as sharp as I can to explain how important is a curator. But it's still not easy to grasp in such a short time, and I think like when I was telling you we kind of put it on pause, it's because bottom line, you'll see what's a curator when you're going to see my platform in 2-3 months, when you're going to understand the richness of what you can get, the quality of what you see it, and I think I've tried to to talk to investors that this is what we would have, but in the end, like, I think we just need to show it, you know. But it's a complexity when you have an art and startup, because there is not a lot of VCs so interested in the arts. Whatever we say, it still sounds like a small market. It's worth 65 billion, the art market, but it's still a small market comparing to gaming, for example, you know. So these were the feedbacks we got, which you know, you always learn and you adjust, and you always, in the end, you always find people who believe in it. So, which is, I was always like at the right moment, having the right person believing in it. But yeah, it's very complex as well as the founder, and I think here I can talk as well to founders that are listening. It's very complex as a founder to, you know, you need to focus on fundraising, but how do you not defocus from the rest? Because of course, you know, when you are in always iteration, trying, adjusting, because that's the work of a startup, right? You need to try. It doesn't work, you move a little bit. It doesn't work, you continue. You don't develop too much, you iterate. How do you, you know, like keep like the highway for your team and the product and the target market and so on, when you are focused on fundraising? This is I think one of the hardest thing I went through, and hopefully I do have advisor and you know, that helps a lot, but I think that's the hardest.
Pauline, let me give you one online tip. While talking to investors, I mean, it's a common problem with all the art marketplaces, because when they are trying to, let's say, describe the targeted available market, so-called TAM, for their startup, they are limited in the numbers of the volume of sales, which is, let's say, from 62 to 65 billion a year. I mean, from 50 to 67, let's say, in recent 10 years. But, and of course, for an institutional investor, these numbers, I mean, are too small. So, but if you look wider and tell them that the potential available market for the objects of art is more than 3 billion, which 3 trillion, which is the, let's say, potential value of all the art assets in the possession of private and corporate, let's say, of individuals and corporations. So 3 trillion sound more convincing to the investors. Yes, now it's only the potential market, but you're, let's say, providing the opportunity. The opportunity is one of the most important words. Investors would not like to, I mean, all the investors are afraid to use the opportunity. They have money and they want to deploy it. I'm just sharing professional secrets. So they want to deploy it, and they want to be the first to see the opportunity and not to lose the opportunity. Otherwise, their competitors and other investment funds will use that opportunity and deploy money in the prospective startup. So use the word opportunity as much as possible. Oh, of course, I'm joking. Not as much as possible, but when it's needed, but just use it.
Yeah,
and the number of 3 trillion describing the art market. Yes, it's a potential art market. And don't be afraid to, let's say, mix several markets. Sometimes it's, I mean, marketologists might say that it's against the rules, but yeah, you can say that the gaming industry and art industry, but a lot of, I mean, nowadays, the most of the Gen Z are coming from the gaming industry with their habits. So, and we are witnessing the merge of, look at art blocks, let's say the most successful curatorial NFT marketplaces. It's a combination of gamification, of generative art, and let's say the art marketplace. So yes, it's a combination of several markets, and day after day, the investors understand that more and more. So the old tricks, the old rules are not applicable anymore on the market.
and I think like one of our goal, at the end is really to target people that would put something on their wall, so we are talking about a lot of people here. So it's we are talking about the art markets itself, but I'm sad because in the project I was telling you, Underdogs, we have the edition market, and it's crazy how it works really well, so you have more and more people as well buying collectibles, but even if they are tangible collectibles or tangible editions, that's where what we are trying to tap here as well. So we are talking about people looking to put and decorate their house as well. Yeah.
We're just asked by one of our listeners, are you guys answering questions? Yes, please don't hesitate typing questions, and we'll be happy to reply on it in the, let's say, in a while. Daria?
Yeah, Pauline, you mentioned that you entered the accelerator program Google for Startups by Indico a year ago. So you had like 6 months with a team of mentors. Please, can you share with the audience about this experience, and also like what did the acceleration program give to your startup?
Of course. So we entered in June, and it was until end of December. It was really really great. So we did had sessions with mentors and founders as well. One thing that I really enjoyed, even two things that I really enjoyed even more, like of course having regularly the mentoring program and so on. It was actually being in the offices with them. We would meet so much great people because they're always also looking for investors themselves, and we would have really amazing minds passing by, and we would end up like chatting or even having a coffee right after, and I met really amazing people by being in the program, like physically, and as well, like the advice as well that we got from the Indico team. I think we were very close from them in the end, it's you as a founder that decide to be or not. We could have decided to work from home and not at the office. We could have decided not to. I could have decided not to WhatsApp like the founders or the partners and so on. But I was doing it. I was really like taking advantage of having people that went through this with other founders, and as well, like being with other founders was really really interesting. That we could really be together and chat and so on. And I think it was interesting as well, the time, right? Because usually accelerators are shorter. That's 2-3 months. Here it was 6 months, so you had time to really follow the impact of it, and I thought this was really interesting. And we can talk about Indico, but we can talk about Outlier Venture as well, which was an incredible experience as well. What an incredible team behind of people that are extremely available, that you can ask any type of things, and this was very very interesting in every single level, and that really help us in the crypto space. I think like we're learning, but there it was like a boom of learning how things work, and this was really incredible. Then after, I think like from those accelerator program is how you step back and you find yourself as well. It's your vision, it's your mission. These accelerators are great, but you also need to step back at one point and think like, okay, I am still in there, I am still doing the purpose why I'm doing this, and also readjust, because it goes so fast, you meet so much people, you have so much opportunities and so on, that sometimes it's you need this timeouts to look at what you have done, where you are at, and where you want to go, and if you are still like are still being on the line.
Thank you. We have a question from the audience. So what do you guys think about the NFT drop inspired by Cristobal Balenciaga that leave right now? Yeah,
To be honest, I haven't seen it.
Cool. So I'll start replying to the question, and then maybe Pauline, you could add something. But yeah, thanks for honestly saying that. It's very important for the startup to be honest. So when you say that you haven't seen it, yeah, that means that you're a reliable founder. So yesterday at Christie's Art Tech summit, there was a conversation with the head of marketing at Kering. Kering is the company which owns the Balenciaga brand, and they showed that they know what they are doing in terms of NFTs. So of course, a lot of brands like Nike and the rest are in NFTs, are making drops, but big companies like Kering and their brands like Christian Dior and Balenciaga, for let's say, haven't been entering that market for a certain period of time. So they are entering it right now, and that's a very good sign, because big moguls, who owns Kering? Kering is owned by Pinault family, and Francois Pinault, at the same time, is the owner of the Christie's auction house, which is the top auction house in terms of working with digital trends and NFTs. Not to mention the Beeple sale and so on. So, and the Art Tech Summit. So I believe that among the brands who are entering the NFT, who are making the drops, and the reason why Kering wasn't, let's say, entering the NFT game for a certain period of time, they were researching the market. And as soon as they are in the game, that means that they trust the market and they believe that they know what they are doing. I mean, they know what kind of product they are delivering to their audience, which is very important. Because if they failed with their drop, if the NFT market fails tomorrow and Kering won't be, let's say, won't be prompting their audience about it, so they will lose the loyalty. So it's a very good sign that such big brands as Kering and also Francois Pinault is known for, let's say, supporting big artists like Takashi Murakami. So, and I believe that you may know that let's say Murakami was about to make his NFT drop, but then someone stopped him a day before that NFT drop. Why did it happen? I mean, I believe that he was told to wait until the market is ready. So I believe that with that Balenciaga drop, this is the proof of the top level that the market is ready and Kering knows what to do, as well as Christie's and their owners. So that's my thought. Cool. So let's move forward to our questions. As soon as we've mentioned Balenciaga and Kering and Christie's Summit, there have been a lot of speculations about the current slowdown of crypto and NFT market. So, Pauline, what changes in the buyers and artists' attitude towards NFTs have you noticed so far from your experience?
Of course, there is things changing. It's not so much with the artists we work with, and I think the buyers we are targeting. But on our side, I was telling you, we looked at the market and we looked at what we had, and we realized, like, actually, really, our target is art lovers. It's people that visit exhibitions, that follow the artists, follow the art venues, that I think that's our target of people, and that's why I was explaining you, like, the well, product wise, but in terms of communication as well, we are stopping doing drops. Art takes time to sell. You don't expect art to sell out in half a second, nowhere. So I think like we are going to another. We are positioning ourselves as, of course it's curated collections, but you can come, you can visit them, you can read about them, but there is also a question of time in what we are doing, and as well in terms of communication. So we are moving far further from this idea of drops, and so on us it had an impact, because I thought like that we need to rely on more people, we need to open the market to more people, and for doing so you need to be understood, right? You need to be understood, and if you are using many different type of vocabularies people don't understand, you don't propose, like I was telling you, the printing, for example, there is many people who wouldn't see the point, So for me, it's we are at the first stage of bringing people in, and I think art is one of the best door to do so, for bringing people in the space, and then we can show the potential and the way extra potential that's after that, when you started having people buying and onboarding them, So for us, it changed a lot of things, and I think like from what I've seen more artists doing editions in the NFT space, and I think like it's not that easy to sell at the moment. Of course, there is people selling, but it's still like right now. I'm talking about calls I had a month ago with founders and so on, and clearly it wasn't easy. We kind of talk between us, and we help each other, and we collab together and so on. And in the NFT space, it was kind of really scary, So now I think it's but at the same time, for me, it's as well a very, very good opportunity what's happening right now, because for me, it proved my speech saying we need to open up, we need to bring people who don't have crypto. Art is one of those ways, and we'll bring them on board, and we'll bring them in Web3, show them the different tools step by step. And this for me is the most interesting part. Like Web3 and all the tools are meant for every single one of us, So we need this thing. And I think the market kind of prove it as well. You cannot rely just on the niche of a niche, and for me, yeah, those brilliant tools gonna be everywhere with everyone. So eventually that's that's the path we are taking step by step with time. And as well, it's nice because you can focus on building. And I know we are saying it a lot, but I think it's really true for us, particularly,
Thank you, Pauline.
Great.
And what is your vision on the future of NFT space after the current bear market?
Well, the question everyone is interested in.
Look, it's going to stabilize. I think you're going to have more and more quality. I mean, that's what I hope, and I think we will see. You're going to have more and more actors. You were saying it, Dennis, with Balenciaga, but I think that's very true. You're going to have more and more very qualitative key players coming into the space, new ones as well, not necessarily brands that exist already, but I think like this going to definitely continue. But as well, the more players you have in a space, the more selection you're going to kind of need. So you're going to have more firms do that, I think. And I think in the arts, everyone will be. Honestly, everyone's going to have a space in one of the metaverse as soon as we can all get a quest. Everyone's going to have, I hope, on Artpool, a digital NFT shop where they don't need to pay for production, logistics, having people putting prints in tube, but they have their website with us and they can sell out editions everywhere in the world, and people can print, and it's environmentally fine because you can print in your city. You can, so I really think like it's not after the bear market, this is going to take years and years, but it's for sure. And even with the token economy, what we're working on with Artpool is to really finally create a revenue online for professionals, for artists, for everything they do online, because they do so much online, and they communicate, they do everything online, but they are not specifically really well rewarded for doing it, you know. So I think we have crazy potential and opportunity, and I'm really, you know, looking forward to how we're going to get there, because you're going to be going step by step, right?
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with the, let's say, the issues enumerated. I will comment only this way. You've mentioned that apart from, let's say, along, better say, with the top brand, a lot of unique new brands will be established in the next years. I strongly believe, I mean, I would only hope that those brands won't be acquired by big brands as soon as they reach, let's say, more or less big audience, because
Yeah.
it happens that big brands like let's not enumerate them. So they're looking for young brands, especially I mean, not especially, but as well as the in brick and mortar market, and also in the NFT market. So as soon as a small brand reaches the desirable, let's say, range of the audience, it's acquired by a bigger brand, which is good for the startup. And but let's say I wish that those small brands would let's say stay for a longer time before being acquired, because their founders should practice with managing the startup, not, let's say, being acquired, let's say, half a year after being established, because in that case they won't receive the expertise, they won't receive the knowledge needed to set up several other successful startups. So it's quite tricky to be acquired by a big brand in the very, very beginning.
Yeah, but you can also it depends how tired you are, maybe, if you know you get acquired and you don't want to stay. But I think like it can be extremely interesting as well to be acquired and to stay a few years. Usually you keep like having kind of the startup within the company, and it can be really interesting to follow that process as well. So I mean, I see what you're saying, but I also think as a founder, it can be an opportunity to learn something also different, without, of course, leaving. But usually you have contracts where you need to stay a little bit at least. But I think like as well, it's not given to everyone to mount something to get to the. I mean, it's extremely hard. We all know it, and there is not like a lot that really succeeds so well. But like getting to the point where you have a very interesting audience and then keep growing, you know, and still be the same founder and so on. Like it's very, very brilliant minds that can do that as well. And because it's not the same, you know, the same opportunities, it's not the same challenges, it's completely even in terms of teams, right, in terms of management and so on. So for me, it's I mean, it's quite fascinating, and but I think being acquired, for me, it would be more the problem of decentralization. If you start like really looking to go to you know to really be decentralized and so on, and then you have a company that is centralized that acquire you, then I think it breaks a little bit the whole concept and the value of what you've been trying to do. But it depends if the company is also looking to get there, and that the startup is a way to add this to their portfolio in a way, you know.
Thank you, Pauline. Yes, yeah, you're quite right with your observations. So Daria, the last question for today. Unfortunately, we have only one question left. I mean, regarding the time left. Otherwise, we would be continuing talking to you, Pauline. With a great pleasure, of course, and with a great value to the audience.
Our last traditional question, we would like to ask you for 3 tips that you can give to young entrepreneurs, startups for developing their brands, their startups.
Okay, I'm going to tell the obvious, but it's so true. Be so resilient. You know, like continue believing in exactly what you defend. I really think you need to have something in your guts to do this. Like this is probably the hardest job you could do, because it's full of up and down, and it's as well amazing. It's actually really, really amazing in terms of human relationship, teams, and everyone you meet. But you need to know exactly why you are doing it. And some people the why is money, some people the why is a purpose. For me, it's a purpose. I really want to unplug this way of creating digital revenue online for the art world, but and bring collections to people as well. Collecting art is wonderful because it enriches the human brain, and the human condition. I think it makes us and our world such a much better place. But so yeah, be driven by something, because you're gonna have so much ups and downs, and that if you don't have this, you're gonna drop it. That's the first. The second is actually trust yourself. It's very good to be very well surrounded, investors and like mentors and so on and so forth, but still continue to trust yourself. Everyone's going to have an opinion, and if you listen a bit too much, sometimes you can lose yourself. So make sure that that you go back to your vision and your mission. It's really true. Do it, because you need to go back to it and look at it and say, what I'm doing right now, is that exactly what I said I would do, and the last thing I would say, that's personal. Don't lose your life. Life is a question of balance, and friends are important, family, lovers, all of this. It's another way to enrich your brain, and you need probably this to kind of balance the whole thing to sustain, because that's only the point, is to sustain. Continue building, take your pace to do it, but sustain. I hope I'm not too negative, but I try to be positive.
No. You're so inspired, and you're from Lisbon.
I'm from France, but I'm based in Lisbon.
Yeah, I know you're from France. I was just trying to put a small joke in our conversation. Several seconds ago, I received a Twitter alert on my phone. Cristobal Balenciaga invited me to join their Twitter room for discussing something. That proves, and we received that question from TMF producer, one of our listeners. We received it half an hour ago, which proves that it's time for it's. I mean, the business is ruled by community more than by, let's say, the business owners nowadays, which proves that the community knows the news first, then the social media managers just share it with the art tech and NFT society. So that means that Artpool is on the right way, because you're trying to create the community, the curatorial community, the community of artists, community of collectors. So we can say more or less that that the Artpool is community driven.
Yeah, I mean, art is about communities. Whatever we say, the artists are creating to talk to people, and it's creating communities. It has an impact on local communities, on digital ones. We're building a global thing, but it's about community art, bottom line. So I think it's interesting how Web3 all correspond to what the art is as well. The I think that's really the takeaway. We built the community. We understood tools that are enhancing those communities online, and it's all about them. You know, it's all and art is about creating those bonds between people. So it's like makes sense.
Great, sounds very inspiring. Thank you, Pauline, for being with us.
Thank you.
In the last hour.
Thank you to both of you.
Yes, we wish you personally and Artpool great success, and we're keeping an eye on your activity. We have, Streaming Museum says, wonderful to learn about Artpool. Thank you for the important information and inspiration.
Thank you.
That's the reaction of the community. That's even more important than the, let's say, the investment attention in some cases. Because if you have the, let's say, the positive appreciation from the community, investors will estimate it and convert it into the next round money.
For sure.
For sure. Thank you, and
thank you so much.
Thank you. See you in a week.
See you.
Bye.